Alright, good morning. This is Mrs. Bird, and this video is to show you a little bit about 7th grade health. Okay, 7th grade health is set up a little bit different than like your math class or your English class, and so I wanted to explain this to you. Okay, so let's click on the title, 7th grade health, and that takes you to the overview that has all the lessons. Okay, and notice this. This has read it, show it, aka reinforce it. And if you look down, it has that all over it. Every once in a while it adds in a practice it or an extend it and then an assess it. Okay, so it's kind of the same thing. This course is set up for a student. You kind of grade yourself. You kind of, it's student led or student initiated, I guess. Okay, so I want to talk about that. So the read it, well, let me back up. I have been looking at all these lessons, so I have a bunch of check marks. When you first start, you probably won't have check marks, but your goal is to get check marks or a score, okay? When you click on the overview, the first thing that you need to do will pop up right here. Now, since I've been doing several things, this wants me to go to here, okay? But you can also go backwards and re-look at stuff. And unfortunately, you can skip around. But if you skip around and you don't get check marks on the things that are blue, then at the end of the quarter, if you're missing check marks, then you didn't complete all of the requirements for the quarter. So I would suggest that you go in order, okay? And the best way to do that is if you will go to work on this course. And it will take you to the most current lesson that you haven't opened. Okay, so this one's going to go to mine, but I'm going to start at the very beginning. So all I did was I went over here and I clicked the very beginning. Okay, so read it is exactly what it is. It's like reading a chapter, or not really, it's not as long as a chapter, but a section in a textbook about health. Okay, and it has questions that would be like if you're in the classroom and the teacher asked a question, just a general question about what you're fixing to learn. Okay, and so you can read the question and think about what you think you know, and then find out by clicking the show it. Okay. This bar may be very, very helpful to some of you, especially if you don't like reading, or maybe you're struggle a little bit with reading, and that's okay. If you will push this right here, this little triangle, if you hover over it, it tells you speak the current selection. Click on that.
Health, objective.
And
you will differentiate between the definitions of health and wellness. Introduction. The following is all.
Okay, so it will read it for you if that's helpful. Okay. This right here, if you need to look something up, so let's look up this word here. So you need to highlight the word. Okay, let's look up highlight. And I'm going to click the world. And I have a feeling that it says translate. So that may be if it's a Spanish word or something. So I have a feeling that's what that is. So this.
No word selected.
Thank you. All right. This one is, I think this is a dictionary. So let's try that. It's not letting me do it. Let me get it out here. Let's look up this dictionary. There we go. Okay, so that was probably the problem, as I was in the question. So I looked up health, and in the dictionary, it's given me definitions. Let me highlight health again, and try this translate. Whoops. Let's close this and try it again. Let's see what happens if I hit my translate. It's translating it into a different language, so that's good. That's good. All right. Okay. The other things over here is this is highlighting. So if you're reading through and you want some important information, you can. What you need to do is highlight the stuff that you want to use the highlighter on first. So highlight it first, and then go and click the highlighter, and it'll highlight it. Let's see. Right here, after you finish reading and you have a bunch of highlights, if you click this guy right here, it will show everything that you highlighted. So that's really helpful for a study review, okay? And then, of course, you can get rid of all of them, too, by erasing. Okay, so that's the tools. That may be helpful. So anyway, in this is like I said, reading a section in a chapter, and then there's a little bit of a question, or sometimes there's more than one. And this is, like I said, this is just for your understanding. So you answer it to the best of your ability, and then submit, and it'll tell you whether you got it right or wrong, and it'll correct you if you got it wrong. Okay, so this is just part of the learning. It doesn't count against you. It's just helping you learn the material. Okay, and then come up here and go to the next activity when you're finished reading, and it's the show it. Okay, the show it, it wants you to write, it tells you what it wants you to write, and so you can, and then you're going to grade it yourself. So if you get you a spiral notebook, okay, and then you can write your sentences here to answer the questions, or you can type it on a Word document, or however you would like to. There's nothing to submit to be graded by a teacher, okay? This rubric, unfortunately, it just makes it confusing. Don't worry about the rubric. When you get finished writing your stuff, if you go to the next activity, this is a show it AK, which AK means answer key. And so it will actually give you what it was looking for, what the teacher was looking for those questions that you answered. So then you can check yourself, okay? If you didn't quite get it right, then you can make your corrections on your paper so that you have a good set of notes, okay? So that's the show it. And then the other things in here are just other activities. Okay, this is a reinforcement activity, and it has questions about it, and you would answer the questions. Okay, some of the activities have matching and stuff like that. So you'd answer the questions, and then you would submit. Okay, and I think it grades it for you right here. I'm not exactly sure. Let's just see. I'm just going to click stuff and see what happens. And then, oh, it immediately gives you immediate feedback by telling you if you got it correct or not. And I did a really good job of just clicking things. Okay, and I'm pretty sure that if you got something wrong, it would show you the correct answer so that you can make sure that you have a good understanding. Okay. All right. So I would recommend starting at the beginning and just keep doing the next activity, the next activity, the next activity. That way you go in order and you don't accidentally skip stuff. Okay. I want to show you an assess it. Okay. I want to show you when you get to it. All right. All of these should have check marks. When you get to the assess it, this is where this will be graded. Okay. It will explain to you what you're supposed to do. It'll probably give you a writing prompt or ask questions or whatever. Here it gives you a little story about Jeremy, and it wants you to decide, how this affected Jeremy. Okay, if you go down keep going to the bottom, again, it gives you a rubric. This one is more useful. It kind of tells you how the teacher's going to score it. Okay, and then you have this submission thing right here. This is where you would actually type in your question, the answers to your questions, and we want it to be in complete sentences, and watch your spelling and your capitalization and your punctuation. So answer your questions there, and then you're going to submit my work. Okay, and what that will do is that will send it to the teacher, which I think is me, but I'm not sure. And then that will indicate to me that, or whoever your teacher is, to grade it, and then we'll grade it, and then you will see later once it's graded what your score is. Okay, so that is just basically an overview of how health works. Okay, if you have any questions, or you're not quite sure, or your parents aren't quite sure, then please message me. Remember, if you go to your overview, you can send me a message, okay? This is me, Suzanne Bird. And you can ask your question about whatever classes that anything really, and I can help you, or I can direct you to the right person. Okay? So that is health. Have fun.